is going to be pretty important in this game.
Indeed, indeed. We are hopping into the Rift for our first game of tonight, Week 2, Day 2. J-Team up against S9W. Once again, are S9W going to be able to find their first win in tonight's game? Already starting off with a little bit of level 1 cheese carries popping the thumbs up.
Yeah, I think Zach actually killed the ward here, so significant gold lead goes over to Zach.
Yeah, a huge swing for the Zach. And I mean, it does actually help him pretty significantly in his lane, you know, being able to hit that level 2 a little bit earlier.
Yeah, getting level 2 up the first wave is pretty nice. At the same time, it's not like you're really going to do a whole lot with it, I feel like. But it kind of just avoids that window maybe where Akali could look to bully you a little bit. Actually got a ward here, J-Team, onto S9's red. I think that's one thing we've really seen from the PCS. They're a big fan of their level 1 wards, you know, especially because a lot of the junglers are choosing to solo start in the meta. Just kind of confirming that information is really, really good for you.
Yeah, and it feels like S9W aren't actually aware of that either. And Fear, on top of that, doesn't have the sweeper available. So he's not going to find that out regardless. But already S9W getting a pretty good chunk onto Enzo. Here's a Nami though, so we'll be sustaining that up in due course.
Yeah, there's perhaps a window here where S9 are going to be vulnerable. They don't know exactly where Lolva started on the stage. And on the other side, J-Team, they know that Fear's Wukong is pathing up towards those Krugs. So if they continue to push here, they're going to have to be really respectful of the Sejuani gank.
Yeah, we have seen the level 3 Sejuani gank just clearing the bot side jungle, working out pretty well in multiple different scenarios. So we have to see if Lalva goes for that this time. S9W have placed a bit of a preemptive ward in the river though. I'm surprised that it hasn't gone into the tri-bush. I feel like it would help to be able to spot that out a little bit earlier, but ultimately Lalva not going to go for it and instead pathing towards his top side.
Yeah, I
doesn't
think
quite get spotted out by Calumnia.
I think maybe they aren't too scared of getting ganked here just because... Oh, hold that thought. A little bit of a back and forth trade here. Wow, actually big damage.
Yeah, YJY getting a lot onto Bruce, and so still pretty healthy after that, but we'll be able to heal him right up. Rel here trading aggressively onto Arya. Actually gets chunked down pretty low, but Arya on the backside going to try and chase this one down with the hammer stance. See if he can actually... Ooh, doesn't quite get it, but Rel here takes 3. Gets knocked away promptly.
Yeah, top lane is very volatile, but Lava's in the area first, and Fear is on the complete other side of the map right now. So there's not going to be any assistance here for Rel here. He's going to have to navigate this situation completely on his own.
Rel here is... He's playing pretty safe, but still a little bit too far up than I'd like him to be.
He does have a ward to jump to.
Lalva gonna go in for this, gets the charge, doesn't quite get hit with the shock blast, has to burn the flash to get out of that one, and overall pretty successful gank for J-Team.
Yeah, I think that's pretty rough. Rel here, the wave's in a really tough spot for him and doesn't have flash. Lalva could honestly just look top again and shut him down completely. Fear will be on the bot side of the map for a very long time here, and there's no trade. It's not like they've managed to dive bot or anything like that.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be rough from Lalva. Is definitely still in the area. We'll have to see if he chooses to go back topside again, but Fear, he's going to look to do his own stuff on the bot side. Ooh, YJY actually dropping very low there. Bruce trading well onto him, and he's taking down his last pot now, so honestly very good for the side of J-Team. They have, and these trades haven't always been in their favor, but ultimately they do have the sustain to be able to withstand that.
Yeah, and mid lane has been reasonably quiet. Both of them do kind of just have the TP Conqueror Doran shield, so it's pretty hard for anyone to die.
Gameplay.
Rel here is pretty far behind in terms of CS, which is not unexpected, especially given the top gank. Lots of damage traded over, but Calumnia just heals it back up.
Oh, Enzo dodging the Karma Q, but YJY on the other side of that, dodging the Nami bubble as well. Wow, this is a very volatile lane for all 3 lanes, I feel like. I mean, mid lane, you know, they're still trading in on each other, not getting, you know, as much damage, but bot and top lane are really just going at it.
And Lava's in the area. There are sums up, but they're very, very low.
Well, Bruce and Enzo walking up. S9W are going to be aware of that and walk away. No vision, but you can pretty much tell from the body language and the aggression on the side of J-Team. Going to be forced to base here, and J-Team... Oh, Carrie's actually in a really good position here.
Is he?
Find out next time.
I was going to say, he's like behind 3 dudes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like if he burned the Ignite, he could have potentially had kill pressure onto Enzo, especially if YJY Was able to follow up with the arrow. Definitely a dicey play for sure, but I do like the direction he was going for with that, and he actually does manage to get his support item as well from that last little trade. And that's honestly huge value on his first base.
Yeah, it's pretty early, right? That's pretty good timing. I remember there was like I don't know what the earliest timing was, but I think I saw a tweet of like a Yumi hitting it in LCK very early.
Oh, really? Dropping very low. Oh, that flash order doesn't quite get him. Gonna be seething about that one. See if he can hit the shock blast.
Oh my
no,
god!
Relia
No
still
shot.
survives. The Doran's shield and potion sticking means that he is still gonna live to see another day. He doesn't have any jungle help with him though, so
he's about to tick 6.
Yeah. Oh, he does still have the mana, and Arya is looking low on that himself. So Relia is actually gonna be able to collect these minions up for now. And man, really unlucky from Arya, you know, flashing forward for the auto and then hitting the shock blast as well and still not killing him. That's a tilter for sure.
Yeah, what a giga chat from Rel here to stay not once but twice and actually not die at all. But pretty significant deficit for him. Even though the Jace has flashed, he obviously is falling pretty far behind in that 1v1.
Yeah, and TP already burned as well, means that he's going to lose even more minions to his tower. Harris gets bubbled up. Bruce is going to trade back in on him. That is some crazy damage on that trade. Carry's dropping down to half HP. Columbia looking for a trade onto Minji as well, but Lalva's in the area. He is. Wow, that is a tanky Zac already. You know, he's got the lucidity boots, which is a pretty good pickup. I mean, I'm surprised it's not the Merc treads, although I guess you don't really... It's not a necessity when you only really have to worry about the Sejuani for CC.
Yeah, I think also he probably has quite a bit of tenacity in his runes. I think if you have like Legend Tenacity and Unflinching, you can kind of get away with just building CDR boots instead. And then, you know, if you need MR, you can just buy that without having to kind of invest more gold into the Tenacity as well. So I kind of like it.
Oh, Minji -1 on the cannon there. Unlucky.
Now, bot lane remains pretty even. It is also going to be the poke Varus, which I think is sort of questionable against Sejuani, honestly. But maybe if you just kill her damage dealers, it's fine. More trades coming out.
Yeah, he's managed to get a lot of these QEW trades, which is doing out very well for him against Minji. But yeah, as you mentioned, I am also worried about the Varus, you know, especially because it feels like without that, you know, DPS Varus on hit build or crit build or whatever Varus builds nowadays, they are sort of lacking in the damage department. They have a lot of setup, but if you don't have the damage to follow that up, it's going to look pretty rough for you when the team fights start rolling around.
Yeah, I'm pretty interested to see how they're going to navigate this game, because your split push Jax win condition, it's definitely not out of the game, but it's also not in the kind of place you'd want it to be. And the bot lane as well haven't really achieved anything out of this lane phase yet. So it feels like the only lane that's really going kind of in your favor currently is that mid lane. And Columbia, you can definitely have a pretty big impact on this game. They've actually brought Keres here.
Oh, they're missing a lot of minions on the bot side for this. Lalva does spot them out. YJY is in the area as well, so 5 members pulled up for the side of S9W. It feels like they should just give this up from the side of J-Team and settle for some plates instead. And the minion advantage as well. And yeah, S9W pick up the Rift Herald. YJY going to make that walk of shame back to the bot lane. He missed out on, I think, like two waves there, and he's going to miss out probably not on too much on this one. But definitely, you know, already being the lethality Varus, not having as much DPS threat, it's not good to fall even further behind on that regard. Yeah,
I feel like it wasn't super worth for S9. It depends how much you can get out of this Herald, because if you can end up knocking down a tower with it, then I'd say it's probably worth. If it ends up only being, you know, 2 plates shared between, say, Wukong and another lane, then that's really not worth it.
Oh, Lalva and Fear both in the area, looking at the blast cone for Fear. We'll have to see if they take it. Keres is in position as well. They are going to go for it. Lalva is going to spot them out. Throws out to Sejuani. Cyclone is popped already onto the single target of Lalva. Oh, flashes in for the second Cyclone, but gets bubbled up. Bruce dealing a lot of damage on the backside. Fear gonna drop very low. Has got the Karma Shield to back him up. Bruce now dropping low as well, but YJY flashes forward. Doesn't quite hit the arrow. First blood going over to Bruce. Columbia and YJY looking to see what they can do, but Columbia is getting dropped very, very low. Minji is gonna get the final execution here. And gonna drop into the bloblet form now. I think J-Team are gonna be able to finish this off here. And that is a huge, devastating loss for S9W. 4 kills to 0. Yeah, what an absolute unmitigated disaster. And also, in the meantime, Rel here got solo killed top. So, I hate to make it worse, but yeah, I feel like, I mean, we'll have to see in the replay. I feel like it didn't start out too bad, but Minji was down here first. YJY, I think, really took a long time to commit. And
I mean, that's a pretty big gold swing, I have to say.
Yeah, 3k gold lead for the side of J Team. They don't pick up the Dragon, instead opting to base instead, which I think is definitely a smart choice. But now, you know, S9W really not put in a position to succeed. All 3 lanes behind their lane counterparts. And the Lucian Nami is especially scary.
Yeah, okay, so this started off not bad. You get quite a bit of chunk onto Lava, but I think this recommit from Fear here is kind of bad, given that Minji is here on the Akali so much earlier. I think also YJY probably needed to flash in way earlier into this fight before Fear was kind of taken out of it. But yeah, at this point, the fight is just completely over, and Columbia tries to salvage something at the back end, but it's just, yeah, a little too late.
Yeah, I feel like that last re-engage from Columbia was really not it. You could see even carries, you know, he was very hesitant to even walk anywhere near that fight. Walks back a long way around and ditches the rest of his team, which I feel like is honestly the right call. That fight was really just doomed. S9W, like right from the start when they blast cone into the waiting arms of Lalva, you can already tell it's not going to turn out well for them.
Yeah, and the shining light of yesterday, Relia has fallen very far behind in this top lane. I think that the pathing from the junglers is definitely a big part in that. Oh, we actually might see a fight on this.
Oh, Fia started up the Dragon, but JT now looking like they're going to start taking control of that. Calumnia is still in the area, and Rift here would pop for Fia, which is going to walk down to the bot side and create a little bit of extra pressure. It feels like they might still be looking at this Dragon, but it feels pretty difficult. You know, you don't have the mid priority either, and you're sort of all bunched around this bot side tri-bush. Might just settle for the plates instead. I really hope they do, because this is going to turn out much worse for them. Let's take a look at how Relia died in this 1v1.
Yeah, what happened here? So he actually committed fully with the flash, and I guess just RUA has more items at this point, manages to just kite him out.
Wow, actually pretty well played from Ayo, you know, cutting it out, making sure that Relia isn't able to get any hits on him while he's running around in the cannon form. It did look pretty good for Relia during that, but Ayo seems like he knows his limits on the Jace.
Yeah, I think, honestly, that top gank, you know, 3 or 4 minutes or whatever it was, really messed up Relia's lane here. It's been difficult to recover from that, and Fear pathed towards the bot side, but bot side hasn't, you know, recouped any advantage as a result. Meanwhile, Lava, you know, solo started and pathed up, and definitely top lane has felt the jungle difference there.
Yeah, Lava seeming like he's one step ahead of Fear. At most points in this game, they have started up the Dragon as well, but Fear's looking for it. Oh, nice decoy, dodges that Sejuani ult. It's going to be a huge cooldown, and Lava now getting stunned up. Mike actually dropped very low. Is going to get finished off by Calumnia. And Bruce now the second target for S9W. They're chasing him down. I think Fear might actually have him here. Flash for him carries, but Fear does end up securing that one for the side of S9W. 2 kills back their way, and potentially this Dragon as well. So good turnaround there from S9W.
Yeah, that was a really nice re-engage. I'm not actually sure what happened to the culling. I don't think it was used on the clone, but the culling kind of went missing in that fight for me. But yeah, I think after, you know, the Sedge ult is used and some other cooldowns are committed just onto the Wukong clone, really easy to just immediately go back in. And I think also, like, really nice decisiveness from S9 to immediately punish those cooldowns. If you wait too long, they're just going to be back up, right? And even though they've made a mistake, you haven't punished it at all. But yeah, really decisive. They get the engage, and they get the Dragon as well.
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot of guts to do that, especially when behind. Let's take a look back at how this all played out.
Oh, the culling is actually down. Is it? Oh no, it's bugged on the replay, I think. Okay, so I guess there's just no culling in here at all. Okay, so it's used here, but the culling just did very little damage. I think when you're this fed as Lucian Nami, you really need to get more value than that, right? Like, even though the first engage was kind of scuffed, you should still be able to win this fight, in my mind, with how far ahead you were at the time. But yeah, Bruce really kind of mismanages the fight, doesn't get much value out of his culling, and it's a lifeline for S9W in this game. Although top lane still having a few issues up here.
Seems like top lane is the lifeline for the side of J Team as well. You know, Arya, after getting that, you know, first initial gank from Lava, burning Relia's flash, he's really been able to, you know, build his own lead on his side of the map, and it really shows. You know, he's already picked up the Eclipse, and J Team gonna be looking at the Rift Herald next as well.
S9, they get this bot tower in trade for the Herald, which is pretty decent. It's obviously quite a lot of gold on the Varus, which does feel good. At the same time, it's going to be pretty hard for S9 to defend their mid tower here. YJY and Kara's starting their recalls, but I'm going to be here in time. Wonder if this Herald will be used top. Maybe they just want to break it open even more.
Yeah, J Team spending a lot of resources into this topside jungle control, dropping some vision down. Not going to drop the Rift Shield quite yet, but you can see on the player guide Arya, definitely the defining member for J Team so far. Miles ahead of the rest of the competition. Lumnia and Fia sticking together for now, potentially looking to see what they can get in the mid lane, but Bruce has Gale Force and his dash and his flash and his cleanse available, so he does feel pretty safe despite, you know, that topside vision being cleared out. But, you know, good job on the side of the SEM9 pretty much immediately clearing out the wards that Enzo had dropped pretty much a few seconds ago.
Yeah, and I think this Zac is, you know, Clumnia's Zac here is reasonably strong, but like you said, there's kind of, the targets aren't super easy for him, honestly. You know, the Lucian has so many tools, so does the Akali. Realistically, I feel like you have to go for RU's Jace or maybe Enzo's Nami. It's pretty hard to find an opening onto anyone else.
Yeah, especially when Enzo does have that tidal wave available to disrupt that initial engage. And it's not exactly hard to execute either. Oh, but it's actually burned now, so Clumney and Fia might actually have an angle for this on the flank. YJY dropping very low, Sejuani ult hits onto carries. He's gonna fall down to Arya with the TP and might chase down YJY as well, but I feel like the rest of the team are skirmishing back in the bottom river. Relhia and Columnia in the thick of it. Columnia gets stunned up. Oh, Minji's back in onto Relhia. Focusing 3. Relhia does take down Lava, but Bruce is now on the chase. A lot of cooldowns burn for the side of SEM9. Second Cyclone comes out, but Enzo's going to pick that one up, and Relhia and Columnia going to try and make it out of this one, but I don't see much hope for them here.
Yeah, this was a pretty clean 5-for-1, I think it was, in the end. Some people have respawned in the meantime, but yeah, that's how long that fight was. But yeah, I feel like at the start, if your Varus just dies so freely here, you really lack the damage at the end, right? Like, you've got a lot of beefy tanks, but you don't really have the damage to really, you know, get anything more than kind of low health bars, right? And especially when champions like Akali and Nami here, like, they're fine with having a long fight, you know, just keep sustaining, you know, kind of heal back up. So S9, I think it's a really bad way to start the fight, and then they decided for some reason to keep fighting it, and obviously did not work in their favor.
Yeah, JT doing a good job of finishing it. You can see the tidal wave dropped very early, and YJY on the run. Balalva picks up carries on the backside of that as well, and Arya TPing in the nick of time manages to secure YJY in the end, as well as carries. And this 4v3 here rather for SEM9, you have to wonder why they've opted for this. You know, Minji, he just waits it out, waits out the stun, gets right in there, hits the shuriken and the perfect execution as well. And you know, at this point, it's really just doomed for SEM9, and they're running in the opposite direction of their base, which is, you know, not really where you want to be.
Yeah, I feel like it was pretty questionable from S9W to focus the Sejuani as well. Like, obviously it's the closest target, but at the same time, if you burn everything and kill Sejuani, it doesn't really matter, to be honest, right? Like, everyone else is still there going to do damage, and I think if a fight ever starts for S9W without getting some poke damage down before, it's already kind of lost. And in that fight, you actually ended up with your Varus kind of playing the role of like an on-hit Varus, right? Like, he was getting a lot of auto attacks off, but they just don't do as much damage. Columnia
Does cancel that. That would have been pretty dicey for them. I'm glad he changed his mind at the end there.
Dragon is up, but J-Team, they have a lot more control.
Columnia's in on Lava, but does get interrupted with the Sejuani charge. Columnia stunning him up, does get locked down by the Varus ult as well, and he's actually going to get picked off. Relhia getting that last hit there, but Minji's on the flank, hits 4 with the perfect execution. Let's see if he can get the second tick of that as well. Cyclone comes out from Fear. Oh no, Bruce is in a bit of trouble. Minji actually dropping to 1 HP, forced to run away here, and J-Team on the back foot at the end of that fight.
Yeah, I thought Minji, once he got that flank, would have been able to do a bit more, but just too much CC coming through. And I think this time, Lava died, but his death didn't really cause a whole lot else to go over. Actually going to try and maybe fight this still.
Well, Bruce is still here, but I don't think he has much else. He has already used the dash, and Relhia is jumping in with the counter-strike. Not going to have the flash available, but stuns up Enzo, who's now out of mana. Columnia jumping in as well. But Arya might find a window here, actually. Drops Columnia very, very low, and there's no Cyclone available to dissuade that re-engage. Minji TP's in as well for moral support. J-Team potentially going to pressure this tower, but I think it's hard for them to actually get close enough to hit it.
Yeah, what a crazy back and forth fight. Let's take a look at what happened in the replay. So the initial engage onto Lava. I think importantly, Sejuani has already used her Aftershock here, so now a lot of her tankiness is gone. You know, that's where a lot of that initial engage comes from. And Sej actually goes down without too much being invested. Minji has this insane flank, but yeah, just doesn't quite have the damage. And also, I really like how YJY played this fight. You know, is just completely out of it, able to just poke from a distance. So yeah, nicely executed from S9.
Yeah, Minji not quite at the point where, his ult is doing a devastating amount of damage, especially when, S9W members are relatively tanky, as well as having that, Karma Shield on top to keep all of them, safe from trouble. But still, J-Team firmly in the lead in terms of gold, and S9W, the question still remains as to, what their win condition is in this game. They have got 2 dragons.
Yeah, I think you're definitely looking towards the drag win condition. And to be honest, you still have a reasonably strong 5v5 as long as you have the damage, right? Like you've got a lot of CC, a lot of knock-ups, but will it be enough to actually close out the fight? Because it's one thing to just get the Sejuani kill every time. It's quite another to actually get anything more of it. It's very hard to see this team actually doing a Baron or taking a lot of towers. And I think that's really what they need to actually win this game.
Lalva sitting in the bush, might pick up Fear here, saves the Sejuani off for now. Culling drops down on Fear, dropping him quite low. YJY taking the second half of that as well, but Kalimnir dissuading any further engage by charging his elastic slingshot.
That was pretty insane value on the culling. I think almost all of them hit.
Yeah. Kalimnir still full HP. Going to be looking once again. Arya and Bruce are the target. We'll see if he goes through with this.
There's no flash on Bruce.
Dashed by Bruce, and Kalimnir taking a bit of damage back in response for missing that E. And it's becoming a little bit more difficult for S9W to keep defending this mid-outer turret. It feels like the poke from the side of J-Team proving to be a bit much, but Fear is back once again. Sticking close to Kalimnir, making sure that they are covering their ults and abilities as much as possible.
I think this tower should eventually go down here. I like how...
Oh, once again,
another Wukong clone gets destroyed.
Fear's reaction times are really on point. He's done that twice now. But Lalva still not giving up, making sure to maintain control of that bush and help, ensure that Enso is able to get into the jungle. I love that emote, by the way. Plus respect for that one.
It's kind of crazy, though, because Lalva, even though he walked in... Okay,
Lalva's in a bit of a rough spot. Somehow manages to be on the wrong side of S9W. Does get rooted up by carries and is going to get jumped on very shortly by Kalimnir as well. Flashes back over. Might have a potential escape route here. Cyclone from Fear hits a few members, but Rel here not going to be able to find anything to follow up with that. Minji dropped very low though, so J-Team definitely going to be on the retreat here. Lalva might get picked up here. Stun doesn't quite connect. Bubble manages to buy Lalva some time once again. YJY watches arrow. Doesn't quite hit Bruce. Bruce is very low, but Arya, he's looking to get some damage of his own. Elastic Slingshot once again. Gonna hit. Ooh, actually doesn't get interrupted. Pops the ultimate as well, but not hitting many members, and does end up dropping into his passive form. Rel here is trying to see what he can do to dissuade any further engagement. Minji's all the way in. He's got the perfect execution. He's got it all saved up. YJY looking like he might be the target here, as well as carries. Oh, Shuriken just goes wide. Means that Minji, while on a killing spree, isn't managing to pick up those last 2 kills, but overall still a very successful campaign for J-Team, surprisingly.
Yeah, will they actually start this? I think they will. There is still poke on the side of S9W, but Minji is doing a great job of zoning them out.
I think it's been spotted now.
I think, honestly, even if he can just get some cooldowns.
YJY's walking straight into Minji, trying to get the arrow,
okay.
But that was so weird. I feel like he was really trying to play with fire there and, thinking he can maybe hit that piercing arrow or the empowered arrow before Minji can finish him off, but definitely was not the case, and Carrie's also coughing a death because of that.
Yeah, now let's take a look at this. It was a really long fight, but I think that kind of favors the team that can keep just poking down, and also Lalva's been doing a really good job of just disengaging Kalimnir every time he goes in, just cancels that Zaki. And then, yeah, too many cooldowns were used here, and Minji with a fantastic re-engage deals so much damage to the backline here. Yeah,
it really is the perfect angle for him. It's a shame that he wasn't able to hit that last Shuriken, because that would have meant those 2 kills, although, I mean, he picked them up later anyway. YJY decides, you know what, Minji, you deserve these. Let me hand them over to you on the silver platter. And now, J-Team with the Baron buff, definitely on the aggressive here. They have got the mid lane push and looking to move towards the bot side as well. But yeah, trying to fish for something. But I don't see what he can really do there. Does get stunned up. Lalva playing with fire as well, but doesn't... Oh, actually does get rooted up. But once again, it is the Sejuani, he's got the wall mogs as well, so not really too worried about the damage he takes.
Yeah, he is just so tanky here. I like the wall mogs versus the poke as well. You can kind of just...
Oh my goodness, Lalva is so on point, making sure this team is safe no matter what. Bruce, though, really really feeling himself and moving up forwards, but does get knocked up by Calumnia. Dashes out of that one. And that trade does end up pretty even. They have still got that sustain from Enso on the Nami. But JT now pressuring 2 lanes. S9W, I don't know how they're going to deal with this. It feels like they need to find an angle in one of these before they start getting pressured out too much. And even now, Aryu also moving up to the top side as well.
Yeah, they're actually going to play 3 lanes, which is sort of risky, but a lot of the engage tools have been used. There's no Zakar and no Varusar either. So perhaps you can look to do this.
Yeah, I think the 1-3-1 actually works out pretty well for them. They've got most people spotted on the bot side, and even if they try to threaten Minji, it feels like he can sort of fend for himself with his stealth and buy enough time. Oh, I'm not sure about that tidal wave. Lava not able to follow up there. And so getting a little bit too ahead of himself. Shock Blast goes wide as well, but that inner turret from topside is down. And Minji still continuing to pressure this bot lane tower. Does destroy the inner turret, and the mid turret looking very low as well. Gonna go down pretty soon. The minions might actually finish it off here. YJY doesn't have much wave clear.
Yeah, they still have another whole wave of Baron. I'm not sure you can get anything else here. Maybe you can crack that top lane tier 3, and then after that just go towards a drag. Actually going to play for some inhibs instead, so bring are you down?
Minji is looking... You know, it looks like he's playing pretty dangerously, but at the same time, he's not really in any real threat. Calumnia jumps in, Fear dropped very low, same with carries, and Lava's just in the thick of it, but still very, very healthy. Calumnia goes down, really looking to see if he can re-engage on that, but it's really not the play for him. Perfect execution, that closes the gap. YJY gonna go down as well. Fear and carries the only 2 remaining members for S9W, and it looks like J-Team are gonna be taking out our first match for tonight, unless there's some heroic plays. Cyclone hits 3, but he gets instantly popped by Minji. He's godlike. And that is definitely going to be the game. 27 minutes. Bruce might be to pick up carries here as well, but not quite. But overall, a very dominating win for J-Team for tonight's match.
Yeah, S9 unfortunately do not manage to pick up their first win. And I think Rel here, you know, we kind of said he had to be the shining light of his team, but I think the way the early game played out with the jungler pathing away from him, still tried to trade pretty aggressively and was ultimately punished for it. But I do want to say, the real loser of this game was Lava's KDA, because he died 3 times.
Oh no!
So that 37 KDA is gone now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he lived a hero, he died a hero. I feel like those, you know, those Sejuani charges to use to cancel the Zaki, you know, it's not something you see very often as sort of that disengage tool, but he pulled it off really well and really consistently as well.
Yeah, I think the consistency is really key because, you know, it's a pretty short cooldown. You know, Zach can just look for that over and over, but just, it was really good presence of mind to just hold the Q, you know, not to waste it, and just every time Calumnia